everyone. It's Ashanti Gholar, the president of Emerge, and welcome back to another Election Day edition of Races to Watch Live. We are going live at the top of every hour until 7 p.m. Eastern, talking to some of our amazing Emerge partners about the work that they do and their candidates that are on the ballot. I am joined now by the one and only Mayor Annise Parker, a huge trailblazer. I've been a fan of hers for years, and it's wonderful that I finally get to work with her now as she leads the LGBTQ Victory Fund. And you heard me call her Mayor Parker because she is the former mayor of Houston, Texas. She served on the city council before then, and she has been just an amazing advocate for women and LGBTQ people. And we love the fact that we get to work with Victory Fund at Emerge. Mayor Parker, how are you today?
Ashanti, I am well. I'm happy to be on this broadcast with you. It's a spectacular day in Houston. Not a bad day to stay in, to stand in line if you must to vote. But the lines are still low right now. We had a huge turnout for early voting. And I think that will really help for today. But there's still a lot of folks who could come out and vote. And I am optimistic at what the results are going to be, at least down here. I don't have much of a lens on the rest of the country right now, but I think it'll be developing soon. And I want to say it's great to work with you. Emerge does a lot of the similar work to Victory, and we have a lot of overlapping candidates.
We do.
Which makes it fun.
We do. I love when our alums say, I went to a Victory Fund training, and when we're able to send our alums to a Victory Fund training, it's just so important to give candidates the tools and the resources that they need. And will you tell everyone a little bit more about the work that the Victory Fund does?
We're the only national organization that focuses solely on LGBTQ leaders. We work to put candidates into appointed office. We also work very hard to elect LGBTQ candidates to elective office. We're also the only national organization that works every level of the ballot, every state. We don't do policy. We don't do lobbying. We're about putting people in the process. We believe if you put the right people in the right place, they'll know what to do. But in order for our democracy to be strong and healthy, it has to represent the entire community. And that means it has to have both women and LGBTQ people in office.
Absolutely. There are so many great Victory Fund candidates who are running up and down the ballot this year. Who are some of the favorite candidates that you're going to be watching today?
Well, we have an opportunity to double the number of members of Congress. And there are some really interesting candidates. For the first time, we can put two Black men in office, Mondaire Jones and Richie Torres in New York. They're in heavily Democratic districts. They should be fine. But our second woman of color with Georgette Gomez out in California. But we're also looking very much at our bread and butter races are state house races. That's where we put most of our energy. And we have a bunch of state house candidates. Particularly exciting are some of our trans women who are running this cycle. And the opportunity to put, for the first time, a number of chambers, state houses, state senates, where we've never had anyone from the LGBT community serve in one house or another. So there's an opportunity to do that. My personal favorite candidates, of course, I'm in Texas. I represent Houston. Gina Ortiz-Jones, who is running for Congress in an area that stretches from San Antonio over to the Mexican border and came heartbreakingly close the last time. Gina is an amazing woman, a veteran, first-generation American, and an outstanding candidate. Should have won last time. Hopefully she puts it away this time. And then So Gina is, kind of a secret favorite. I have to confess that because I love all my candidates and we work hard for all of them. But that's sort of the, hometown girl.
Yes.
But the
I
others, go ahead.
Oh no, I totally understand that. I'm from Nevada, so I love to brag on our Nevada candidates when I can, but my current home is Virginia, and I love bragging on our Virginia candidates as well, such as Danica Rome, who's an Emerge alum and was supported by the Victory Fund.
So we have in Texas right now 5 women who are LGBTQ women in the state house. We have the opportunity to double that number as well, and there's a chance that the Texas House turns blue. Several of our non-incumbent candidates are part of that blue wave, so that would be a huge issue in Texas. Ann Johnson, who's here in the Houston area. We have several lesbian candidates here in the Houston area. Eliz Markowitz, but we also have outside of Texas, because I have to spread the love just a little bit. One of the other really exciting candidates who I expect to win tonight is Kim Jackson, who is will be a member of the Georgia State Senate, and Chevron Jones, who will be a member of the Florida State Senate. Both of them taking their places as the only member of the Senate from their respective states. And it shows the power of moving up. And I know Emerge preaches this too. Just because you're happy and you are successful at one level of government doesn't mean that you shouldn't consider moving up, and that taking one chamber and then moving up. So Chevron's a good example of that. He was a member of the Florida House, one of 3 openly LGBT members. He is, we're hoping to replace him, and then he is moving up to the state Senate in Florida and has a really excellent shot. So we have almost 400 candidates across the country, so I could just keep going on candidates. I want to circle back for a moment to trans issues and our trans candidates. We have 4 openly transgender members of state legislatures across the country. Danica Rome was the first. Then in 2018, we elected 3 more. 3 of those our 3 incumbents are on the ballot, but there are 5 more trans women who have an opportunity. Probably the best chance is Sarah McBride, who's running for the state Senate in Delaware. Sarah's great. But
I love me some Sarah McBride.
Yep. The other one is, Stephanie Byers in Kansas. Stephanie Byers is a longtime music teacher. She has a huge following in her district. She's well ahead in the polls, and she would be our first person of color in a state house who is transgender. She is Native American, and that's going to be an exciting race to watch.
That is super exciting because when we talk about representation of women candidates, Black, Brown, Indigenous candidates, LGBTQ candidates, we know it's low, but it's very particularly low for Native women candidates. So that is super exciting.
Well, I hope that Sharice, I'm sure we both are excited that to see Sharice Davids go back to Congress from Kansas.
Oh, love me some Sharice Davids as well. Just every time I see her and Deb Haaland together, I just get all the feels. And I love the fact that they didn't have to be alone. They were, together when they became the first Indigenous women in Congress, but also still ridiculous that happened in 2018. A huge supporter of Sharice. She is great. And we know there's so many barriers that LGBTQ candidates and elected officials have to face. Mayor Pete, he was a trailblazer in his own right with what he did. And we're seeing him continue his work because we know he's a servant leader with encouraging more LGBTQ individuals to run for office, which I love. I also love just watching him on Fox News when he stuns all of their reporters and they're speechless with what he has to say, just spitting straight facts. But are you seeing, because of Mayor Pete, the Danicas, the Cherise, that more LGBTQ candidates are wanting to run for office?
Absolutely. There's a virtuous cycle that when we see successful candidates that look like us and that have a similar background or story that to ours, we begin to believe that we can run and win too. And then we do. And that just invites more people to step up and do it. To have Pete be able to compete for the highest position really on the planet and on a level playing field with the other candidates was transformative. But it's really, a lot of folks think that that's running for president. No, that's out of reach. What really moves people is when they see that a woman that they were in the PTA with suddenly is in the state legislature or on the city council, and they realize that each of us is just an individual deciding to stand up and put our skills to use, and it is not impossible. Some races are harder to win. Some races take more resources, but anything is possible if we want to work at it, and we have the examples. Unfortunately, we would need to elect something like 22,000 more LGBT people to levels of government all across the country to achieve parity. And we also know that we have a ways to go to achieve parity for women in office. And we just need more people standing up and saying, I can do this. Yes. And I want to do this. And by gosh, I know I'm better than that person.
That is the truth. I say all the time, like, look around. Like, if this person can run for office and win, you can totally win. And we know that when we have LGBTQ elected officials, it really just changes the game, particularly the issues that we see in the forefront. So as a former elected official, how are you seeing our LGBTQ elected officials just really also transform policies across the country?
We have a lot of information, particularly in state houses. When we put one person in a state legislature, we don't change the outcome. We change the conversation. We put 3 people in a state legislature, we change the outcome. We stop the bad stuff. And often when a little more than that, suddenly we begin to have proactive legislation. And the reason it's important is that really bad bills, anti-LGBT bills, anti-choice bills, anti-women bills, they metastasize from one state to another. So if we can stop them in one state, we perhaps don't have to fight them in the next. But one person can make a difference. In fact, we are nonpartisan as an organization, although most of our candidates fall on the progressive end of the spectrum, and they're mostly Democrats. But there's a Republican state house member I believe in Nebraska, who has spiked multiple anti-LGBT bills from his own party just because he's there. He has some seniority and he is willing to put his political capital on the line. That's what we need. We don't want office holders. We want people in office who want to use those offices for good.
Absolutely. Mayor Parker, we're so thankful for everything that you've done. Tell everyone, how can they stay in touch with Victory Fund, particularly because we want everyone watching to encourage the people in their network to run for office.
Victoryfund.org or victoryinstitute.org are our other side. We will be doing live tracking of races tonight. We have nearly 400 that we've endorsed, but there are almost 600 openly LGBT candidates on the ballot, and we'll be doing our best to keep up with them. and they'll be on our website.
Awesome. Mayor Parker, thank you for your leadership. Thank you for everything that you do at Victory Fund. Emerge is so grateful for our partnership, and I'm looking forward to seeing all of the great candidates that are going to win tonight.
I am as well. Good to talk to you, Ashanti.
You too. Bye. Bye, everyone. We'll see you at the top of the